Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Hoy vamos a hablar de pronombres de objeto directo. Today we're talking about indirect object pronouns. Indirect object pronouns are similar to direct object pronouns, but different. Okay, before we start comparing them and trying to find out how we use them, let's watch the silly video.
Wow, I am so excited. I can't wait to see what you brought to our swap meet.
Pablo, I'd lower my expectations if I were you.
Come on, Billy. Check out what I brought. A shoe.
What? One shoe? Are you crazy? Look what I brought, a jacket. And, here we have some yogurt.
Wow, I'll take that. Toño, Toña, les doy mi zapato por su yogur.
No way, Pablo! Billy, te damos nuestro yogur por tu chaqueta. What? You're kidding, right?
Billy, how about it? ¿Me das tu chaqueta por mi zapato?
Pablo, get real. It's one shoe by itself. It's not even a whole pair.
Well, so no trades today, huh?
Hey, Pablo! Next time you need to bring better stuff, like a pizza or a computer.
Okay. So, did you get it? Well, indirect object pronouns are such as this. Les, te, and me. In this sentence, les doy mi zapato. We're talking about a shoe. And les is receiving the action. Okay? I am doing the action. To whom? To them. Te damos nuestro yogur. We are doing the action. Damos. And what is it that we're giving? We're giving yogurt. To whom? To you. So indirect object pronouns replace nouns. So let's get more into that. As you can see here from the page that we are on, which is page 42. It says right here, indirect object pronouns are used to accompany or replace nouns that act as indirect objects. The indirect object pronouns are this: me, te, le, nos, us, and les. Me, for me. Te is for you. Le is used for him, for you formally, in the usted form, and her. Nos is for us is for you, and also for vosotros. Les is for you and them. So how do we use it? Well, we use it really similar than direct object pronouns. They go before the conjugated verb, like you see it here. Mom gives Jose and Ana the money, right? So who's doing the action? Who are the subjects here? Mom, right? Mom is doing it. What is she doing? She's giving. What does she give? She gives money. To whom? To Jose and Ana. So Jose and Ana are right here. They are the nouns that are receiving. So this is what you replace. And because it's two of them, you're going to look for the indirect object pronouns that belong to it. In this case, it's more than one. It's them. So it will be le or les. It's more than one. Jose and Ana. Therefore, it will be les. So you're going to replace this two with les, and obviously you're going to put it before the conjugated verb. And it will sound like this. Mamá les da el dinero a José y Ana. Mamá les da el dinero. So now, the second time around, you don't have to say José and Ana because you already established who's the money given to. Just like direct object pronouns. The difference is that direct object pronouns are used to determine to whom the action is being done. These ones are specifying who's doing it. When an infinitive follows the conjugated verb, just like direct object pronouns are similar, right? You can attach it to the verb that is not conjugated. Remember the rule? The first verb in a sentence, what happens to that? It gets changed, conjugated. What happens to the second one? Nothing. It stays in its infinitive. It's its regular form. You remember that? right? So just like direct object pronoun, you can attach the indirect object pronouns to the end of the verb that is not conjugated, or you can just leave it in front of the one that is conjugated, like it's right here. I'm going to sell Sarah my car. Le voy a vender mi coche a Sara. Or you can always say, voy a venderle mi coche a Sara. Le voy a vender mi coche o voy a venderle mi coche. Either way, okay? So again, to recap, the only things that are a little different is that here is no law that you use. You use le for the you, for him and her. And les is for you and them. The other ones are pretty much the same. So in page 47, you're going to do today activity 12, activity 13, and I believe you also have to do activity 14 using these indirect object pronouns. Me, te, le, nos, and les. Okay? So here's what you got to do. You got to complete the sentences with the correct indirect object pronoun. For example, el agente is the subject, the person that's doing the action. What is the action? Vender, to sell. What is he selling? What is the noun? Los boletos de ida y vuelta, round trip, tickets. And who's doing that to whom? To. Who's selling it to? A, in this case the preposition a means to. Nosotros, us. So what you're going to do is you're going to replace nosotros, right? Because we are receiving the action from the subject, which is the agent. You're going to replace nosotros with the indirect object pronoun, which is correct. This one, nos. Where does it go? Does it go before or after the conjugated verb? Correct. It goes before the conjugated verb, right? Vender is the verb. You got to conjugate that, obviously. So who's doing the action? El agente. El agente nos vende. Notice that you have to conjugate this verb, right? You cannot leave it like this. You cannot say vender. El agente nos vender, because it will not be correct. First, you conjugate this based on who's doing the action, the subject. Then you replace who's receiving that action. Okay? And then, what is it that is happening? Then you put the actual noun that we're talking about. Los boletos de ida y vuelta. That's all you got to do. So I'm going to do this one, the next one here. Again, who's the subject? Who's doing the action? El agente, the agent. What action is he doing? Dar. Dar means to give. Remember, this is the one that has to be conjugated, right? And what is it that he's giving? El itinerario, the itinerary. To whom? A mis padres, to my parents. So my parents are receiving this action from the subject, which is the agent. So a mis padres, you have to determine if it's singular, it's plural. Mis padres. Yes, it's plural. So it should be either le or les. Which one? It's more than one, remember? Correct. It's les. This one right here. See it? So this is the one that you're going to replace. You're going to put that before the conjugated verb, right? So you will say, el agente les, because they are receiving this, les da el itinerario a mis padres. Okay? So that's what you have to do here. You press the Q for questions, click on it, and complete this assignment. Activity 13, en el aeropuerto. What is it that you have to do here? Well, you have to listen to Alejandro and complete the sentences with appropriate indirect object pronouns. So what I suggest you to do is to click on this first in the audio and then click on the questions, okay? So you can actually input your answers. You would use me, te, le, nos, or les. So let's do the first one. I'm going to do it with you, Okay, first we have to determine who's doing the action, who's the subject. Los pasajeros, it's them, right? Los pasajeros, the passengers. Now here is where you're going to put the indirect object pronoun before the conjugated verb. What is it? What is the conjugated verb? What is the action? Hablan. They speak, right? They speak. A, to whom? A los auxiliares de vuelo. A los. Notice that this is plural, so it's more than one. These are doing the action. They're speaking to whom? To the flight attendants. It's more than one. So which one would you put here before the conjugated verb? Would you put me, te, le, nos, or les? Who's receiving the action? The flight attendants. So that would be more than one. It's a group of people, right? That would be ellos. Yes? That would be them. So the indirect object pronoun would be les. These people here are speaking to this other group of people. So it would be los pasajeros les hablan a los auxiliares de vuelo. Okay, so in activity 14, what you have to do here is simple. Okay, all you have to do is answer the questions with a classmate. Obviously, we are not going to do it with a classmate. You can do it on your own. You're going to click question right here, and you can just enter your answers. So there's going to be a mini conversation. Okay, so for example, it's going to ask you, ¿a quién le preguntas cuando quieres ayuda con la tarea? ¿A quién? So activity 14 is a mini conversation that you have to do using indirect object pronouns. So the model shows the following. ¿A quién le preguntas cuando quieres ayuda con la tarea de español? Who do you ask when you need help with Spanish homework? Did you ask a la profesora o al profesor? O a tu amigo o tu amiga? Who do you ask? So that will be the question. So you could say like this. Le pregunto a mi amigo y tú? And you say, the answer is, I ask my friend and you. Remember, you got to continue the conversation by saying y you and you, y tú. The second one, the second part of the conversation is the student B saying le pregunto, because if you're doing it to one person, he or she, you will say le. Now, if you're asking more than two, will be les. Le pregunto al profesor. Al profesor is one person, right? So it will be le. So that's what you have to do here with all of them. I'm going to do number one with you. ¿A quién, to whom, le preguntas cuando quieres salir con los amigos? ¿A tu madre o a tu padre? Okay? Who do you ask? This is what you have to say. Ask, right? Cuando quieres salir con tus amigos, con los amigos. When you want to go out with your friends. ¿A tu madre o a tu padre? Your mom or your dad? So you will say, obviously because you are the one asking, so you say, le pregunto, you will use this, le pregunto a mi madre. ¿Y tú? And you? And the second person will say, le pregunto a mi padre. Okay, so you're going to write it right here, you're going to place in Q and enter your answer right there. So again, to recap, indirect object pronouns are nouns that answer the question of to whom, okay, or for whom an action is performed. Indirect object pronouns take the place of indirect objects, okay, like in the case, this is the case. Rosa gives her a ticket, right? Rosa gives her a ticket will be Rosa le da un boleto. So, as you notice, Rosa is doing the action to whom? To her. So that's what is replacing a noun and answers to whom this is being performed. The indirect object pronouns are me, te, le, nos, os, les. Le is for him or her, and les is for them, more than one. Okay, so hopefully this helped, and if you need any help, please don't hesitate to ask me during the class discussion and be ready for to make some points. I'll talk to you más tarde. Chao.